sex is not about sex, sex is about everything else.
Mm.
Because it's true. Like, if you think about it, sex is about so many things. It's about respect, about communication, effort, organization, adoration, emotional safety. There's like so many things have to go right in order for people to have a good sex life.
Mm.
That's why sex is such a good place to see if there is a symptom of a bad relationship.
Welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. Oh my goodness, you guys are in for a conversation today. I want to know everything, like literally everything that this expert is about to share with us. I got to hear her speak in person and got to meet her in person, and I was like, okay, I must share her with you guys. So, Dr. Tara is a tenured professor of relational and sexual communication. Yes, you heard me correctly. And an relationship intimacy coach. She's got a brand new book, which is super cool, called How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want. And then in parentheses, it's in bed, sort of like fortune cookie in bed. Um, and and she's a sex and relationship expert. She's been on every major media outlet. She has millions and millions of followers. And she's also the sexpert on UK's reality TV show Celebrities Go Dating and the co-host of Loveline, her own radio show. So many cool things that you're up to. Welcome, Dr. Tara.
Hi, thank you for having me. Are you having an orgasmic day?
I'm having an orgasmic day. Well, now I am. Now that you asked me, I'm going to say yes. How do you say no to that? I mean, there's like a couple of things that are never like a disappointment, and that would be one of them, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's what you would want in your life, right? That your orgasms is not a disappointment.
I don't know how that would be possible. Um, so okay, I just think it's so funny because I grew up, I'm half Chinese, and so
Mhm.
like the fortune cookie is like the funny thing is like you always add in bed at the
Yeah.
end. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's the reason why we did it that way. Because it's
Oh,
like kind of cheeky. It has like the American reference of like how we do that with the fortune cookie. And
yeah.
also because the thesis of the book is helping people find themselves and teaching them ways to communicate. So in a way, it's how do you like it? A guide for getting what you want, period.
Yes.
The in bed is in the parentheses because, yeah, like in bed is one of the most vulnerable places to be and one of the hardest conversations to ever have with your spouse or your partner. And that's why in bed would be, the hardest, one of the hardest tests of all is to bring up a conversation about sex with your partner. So, yeah, it's how to get what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a powerful and provocative title. I love it. I love your core message. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to just simply say what they want?
Mhm. Well, we have been conditioned for hundreds of years to be afraid of talking about sex. So, if we really dig deep into history, it makes sense that, it's almost within our genetics to not feel comfortable talking about these things. Like, it's been multiple generations and generations of people being shamed for their sexuality, for exploration, for trying something that's not acceptable within the norm, or even talking about anything related to sex in the past. So, of course, we are, it's ingrained within us to not talk about it or to be apprehensive in talking about it. Now,
Well, or even asking for what we want in all areas. I mean,
yeah.
I wrote a book on negotiation, and in writing that book, I did some research, and women are paid less on the dollar than men in
Hmm.
all areas, and even women lawyers are paid 77 cents on the dollar for women or for men lawyers, and they're actually making less on the dollar today than they were making like 20 years ago. And so it's not just, uh, you know,
It's everywhere.
X, it's in all realms.
It's
that it's
normal.
difficult. And I think you're 100% right. It's the conditioning. It's it's be nice, but not too nice. You have to be pretty, but not too pretty. You have to have an opinion and be smart, but not too smart. Because then you're going to be bitchy and bossy. So I think women understand that there's this dynamic out there, this kind of um, trope, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, that we have to fit in a box, but you're always kind of
Mhm.
trying to fit there, but not fit there, and also be expressing yourself. And so you don't want to be the person who's difficult,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that that's kind of part of it, because if a woman is assertive, then
Mhm.
she's considered to be difficult.
Mhm.
And I think that definitely spills into your intimate life, your
Mhm.
sex life. And I know for a lot of the people who listen to me and they're dealing with narcissists or difficult people, toxic people, one of the areas that does come up quite frequently is in sex, and
Mhm.
how they're controlled by a person with, from a sex standpoint, like that, they can't ever initiate it, for example. It
Mhm.
has to be initiated by the other person. Do you want to talk about that dynamic a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, first off, research found that the two hardest topics to talk about in relationships are money and sex.
Mm.
So when you were giving examples about salaries or how much women are being paid versus men, it makes total sense to me because, research confirms this also in a relationship. It's hard to talk about money, it's hard to talk about sex, and I think that's why those tend to be problems in relationships. And when I talk about money, I also talk about resources. Like resources tend to be a problem. If you don't have enough resources, like you're in a relationship and you guys are struggling with money, that becomes a huge friction in the relationship too. And it's really hard to talk about who pays for what. Like that's a really hard conversation to have. Or if you have a lot of it, if you have a lot of resources, that can also become a point of friction too. Well, now that we both make this amount of money, like who pays for what? Like who takes care of who? And it's the same thing with sex, with which is it's showing the shadow side of ourselves that
Hmm.
we don't show in a daily life on a day-to-day basis. It's like you have to dig really deep in order to talk about those things. Like a lot of people have money fears, right? Same with sex, like intimacy fears. They don't want to bring up their deepest, darkest desire and mention that to their partner because they're afraid of various things, afraid of being judged, afraid of abandonment, afraid that the other person will change the perception of them. So
Hmm.
there's just a lot of various factors for people to feel apprehensive to talk about money and sex. Now, if we're talking about sex being a factor of control within a relationship, it happens a lot. And
Hmm.
like whether you like it or not, every relationship has a power dynamic. And
Hmm.
this is known through science. Like we study this in social science. Every single relationship you're in, there is a power dynamic,
Hmm.
regardless of how egalitarian that relationship is. You can
Hmm.
say it's super egalitarian. We're 50-50 everything, including money, including children, including, labor. But someone in the relationship is always going to be holding that, upper hand. There's someone in the relationship, even a little bit, has more power. And I think that's the truth that people find uncomfortable to accept because
Hmm.
whenever I mention that, everyone's like, "No, we're really equal." And I'm like, "Nope, there is even if we have to bring in like cultural backgrounds,
Hmm.
and like racial background,
Hmm.
how you grew up, your socioeconomic status as you grew up, where you went to school, like all these things contribute to the power dynamics between you and your partner, how much life experience you have. So that plays a big role in sex because the person with more power um, is able to kind of control the narrative of what sexual wellness looks like in our relationship.
Mm,
I've seen this in my private practice. I've seen this in a form of husband and wife coming in. Husband's very frustrated because wife has, lost all of her sex drive.
mm,
Doesn't really touch me anymore, doesn't initiate sex. She doesn't want to be sexy for me. I have to do all the work. I have to do, I have to be the
mm.
person that shows her that she's desirable, but she doesn't show me any. Um, which is really, really interesting because when I dig deeper, I realize that in other aspects of life, he doesn't give her anything. He
Oh, well, so
doesn't
I
give
was going to
her,
ask you about that
yeah.
because there's going to be different things that get people in the mood or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think for women, it's, you know, uh, are you treating me well? Do I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
safe? Do I feel like appreciated? And because if they're really put upon
Hmm.
and not being treated well, not feeling appreciated, feeling undervalued, feeling
Hmm.
voiceless, feeling put down, they're certainly not going to feel sexy
No, there's
in the
like no
bedroom.
desire.
No.
No,
No, I mean you can't go from like having a big huge fight to like jumping right into the bed, which
exactly.
men can do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the big thing about that is understanding different types of sexual desires. There's, spontaneous desire and responsive desire. Have you heard of those terms
No,
before?
no, tell me about that.
So people who have spontaneous desires can like immediately get in the mood and quote unquote like get horny like really quick and become sexually aroused really quick. And
Okay.
they can then immediately jump into having sex, whether that can be penetrative or non-penetrative sex.
Okay.
A lot of people in the world don't have that type of sexual desire. A lot of people in the world have responsive desire, meaning the body responds to the contextual cues and what's been going on in the relationship, and the body responds to um, how they're feeling, like what the feeling is between the two people. So they can't just like get arousal immediately. It takes time and it's gradual. And, when people say foreplay all day, like that's what responsive desire people need is
Mm,
the whole day there needs to be, some romance, some adoration, some appreciation. And then, yeah, like then towards maybe the end of the day, then I can feel more open to receiving, sexual desire from you. Uh,
mhm,
and the world we live in, we think of sexual desire or sex drive as the first one, the spontaneous one. We don't recognize the second one, the responsive one, right? Because when you watch a movie, when you say a passionate scene, it's
mhm.
always going to be, that hot makeout, he lifts
Yeah,
her up,
yeah.
lifts her skirt, right? Like that's the only example we have. When in fact, you can have a totally amazing, fulfilling sex life when it's slow and when it's also, taking the time to setting up the context, taking the time to take care of the relationship, taking the time of taking care of emotional safety. That can be amazing, fulfilling sex too. It's just not shown in the media. So people don't have that sort of script. They don't understand that that can be good too. They think it needs to be the rush, the, sloppy makeout and the lifting up the skirt in the middle of the, restaurant. Like it doesn't have to be like that. And I think people need to understand that spontaneous desire only accounts for a small group of people, and
Yeah.
majority of people actually have responsive desire.
Right. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So, for people who feel like their spouse is withholding or weaponizing
Mhm.
sex or using it as a reward or controlling somebody through it, what would you suggest in that situation?
Mhm. To be honest with you, if that's already what they're doing, my suggestion would be to see a sex therapist.
Mm,
because I think you need a third person to almost like arbitrate this very toxic cycle.
mm.
If you are in a relationship where someone is using sex as a weapon, like that's too far gone for like self for like a couple's dialogue to happen,
Oh, yeah.
because someone is manipulating. So
Yeah.
that's not something that I can see two people working that themselves
Yeah.
out. I
Yeah.
think they need using lawyer language, arbitration.
Well, and it's probably a spillover from other areas in there.
Totally, totally. And the lack of respect in that sort of relationship as well. So I highly suggest seeing a couples therapist, but particularly if sex has been the main point of friction, a sex therapist can then help navigate this sort of discussion and completely shift and reform um relationship with sex between these two people. I've
Mm,
seen that before, and it's really hard. It's a hard thing to refresh, but I have
mm,
seen people done it before. Because a
mm.
lot of times people don't do it maliciously. They actually don't know. They just think that's the only form of power or control they have, so they use it. Um,
Oh,
a lot of women I know use it in their
I
relationship.
know.
Yeah,
I've seen that too.
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
that
But it's
too.
because like she doesn't have control or power in any other aspect.
Right.
But
So
that's
she
that's not
asserts
a
it
good
where she
feeling.
can. No.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah,
So
it
what about cheating? What
mhm.
about people who've had to deal with one spouse cheating or not? Like how does a couple ever come back from that?
When there's infidelity, I think it's important to first understand where it came from. People are so quick to judge that someone who cheats is it's pathological, when in fact there's many people that engage in infidelity out of various other reasons that's not pathological. Um, for example, it takes two to tango. Like for example, if the spouse has been neglecting the other person for years and years, and after begging for a conversation, begging to see therapists, begging to have some change in intimacy and feels closer and connected again, they continue to neglect, and then this
Hmm.
person then engage in infidelity. How can we just blame the person that cheats?
Oh, I mean, I've seen that too. I
Yeah.
remember I did a divorce for a couple um, one time where the husband had cheated
Hmm.
and then so obviously that was the narrative that she got to have and project out. But what people didn't know is that their 5-year-old daughter was, had her own room. And ever since the child had been born, the wife had started sleeping with the daughter and never came back into the bedroom. And they hadn't slept
Hmm.
together, like had sex in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, not to say that infidelity is ever okay,
Hmm.
but it did put him into a position of I'm either going to live in a sexless marriage or divorce my wife, and then now my family is broken up, right? I mean, that's a tough one. It's really
Hmm.
tough.
It's really tough. At the same time, though, research found that like divorced parents can actually have a much more positive impact on children than bitter parents that stay together.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I
I
would
think
definitely agree with that.
divorced, divorced happy parents that can co-parent and be friends is significantly better than staying together and be super bitter, and then your children have to witness you having zero affection in the relationship.
Yeah, or
That's like
even
a
worse, like
yeah,
anger,
we're
resentment,
fighting. Yeah,
fighting, yeah,
fighting.
domestic
It could be
violence. I mean,
physical. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's important that actually children witness affection between their parents, and when they don't, they have a problem with intimacy. They have a
Hmm.
problem showing affection and in intimacy. I've seen there's a concept called family sex communication, and it shows like if you grow up in an atmosphere where sex is extremely taboo and a bad thing to do, or and that your parents don't have a lot of affection, they don't ever show affection to you or each other, then
Yeah.
you grow up to have a problem with attachment. Like you might have dismissive attachment. You might feel like you don't know how to navigate around affection. You don't know how to receive affection even or show
Mhm.
affection. So it can be a big problem when you grow up with, a cold environment. And
Yeah, so your own trauma,
yeah,
can really affect a relationship, right?
yeah, yeah. Many times when I see people that are in, like, let's say in their 20s that have like a dismissive attachment, they don't know how to be in a relationship. Often when I investigate, it's because they grew up in a very cold household.
Yeah, right, for sure. And it, I've seen trauma lead to the infidelity as well. Like they feel dead inside. They're just looking to feel alive, even though that's not the right way to go about it, but it doesn't mean anything to them,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? I mean, the person doesn't.
You also have
Um,
to view sex in like three different ways because like sex is not just sex. Sex is everything else. Sex has a lot of meaning and
hmm
and it symbolizes a lot of things in a relationship.
hmm
So sex can be procreational, which is like sex to
right.
make babies.
Yeah,
Sex can be relational, which is to keep deep connection and a closeness and connection within a relationship. And then
right.
sex can be recreational, which is just gratification and fun.
Mm,
So for most people, sex is relational.
yeah.
It's a tool to feel closer together and to have that unique connection that you don't have with friends, right? But for some people who score high in sociosexuality tendency, sex is recreational. So it's gratifying and fun. Um, so for these people, they may engage in casual sex or potentially engaging in infidelity without thinking that it means anything. Because for
hmm
them, it's like sex is just fun. I don't even remember their name.
Yeah, yeah.
So when that happens, but if you are married to or dating a person who views sex as relational, it's extremely hurtful. Because then they go, well, you broke my trust, you did that, like, that's like a huge violation for me. When the
hmm
other person is like, oh, but it's like it means nothing. Like maybe it was even with a sex worker or, but people view sex differently, and that's why it's important to like talk about what the boundary.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So for people who've been in difficult, toxic relationships, and now they're coming out of it and they're starting to look for a new sexual partner,
Mhm.
or they're starting to think about having a new partner. What advice would you give them for people who are like gun shy, feeling like they can't trust themselves? What would you say to them?
Education is the most powerful tool. The more knowledge you have about sex, relationship, and dating, the more you'll feel comfortable because you go into the dating pool being equipped with various perspectives and understanding of what dating, relationship, and sex is like in 2025.
hmm
So yeah, I highly recommend like reading books, listening to podcasts, and just learning more different perspectives about dating, relationships, and sex nowadays. Like, there's so many things out there. Like sometimes I'll mention a term and people have never heard it before, and I'm like, yeah, that's available. Like you can do that if you want, right?
Well,
Like
I
it,
think it's more like trusting themselves, like that they're not
yeah,
going to get hurt again,
yeah.
that they are going to like, how do you tell people to start having a voice?
hmm
What would you say to them?
hmm I would say the more you learn about yourself, self-knowledge is extremely powerful. The more you learn about yourself, the more you feel more self-assured. And when
hmm
you go out on a date, you want to make sure you build your self-esteem to a certain level and feel more self-assured before you have the spillover effect on other people. Because sometimes people that haven't been dating a long time, they go on a date, they start talking about their problems, maybe they complain about where their life is, like that's not effective dating strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
So I have a question. You hear the term all the time, being good in bed, right?
mhm.
What does that term mean to you?
That term means that you have um an understanding of your own desire and your partner's desire, and you're able to enact on those desires effectively.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people don't even know what their partner likes in bed.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask like, okay, name 10 things that you do that will turn her on or him on. They're like, okay, kissing,
Yeah.
maybe like touching the
But they're just
genital, like,
guessing.
yeah, they're because they've never talked about it. Like,
Mm.
it
So,
just
so what's the best way to start having that conversation?
the best way to start having a conversation about sex with your partner is to use the media mention method. Because it's hard to just bring up like, hey, I want to talk about sex. Like, that's really hard for most people. But if you go, oh, I listened to this podcast today and they were talking about 3 sex questions you must ask your partner. What do you think? Like, should we, answer these questions together? You can then say you heard it from somewhere else and you're curious and ask them what they think. This is inviting a dialogue from them, getting their
Mm.
buy-in instead of you saying, we should do this, because that's a very vulnerable spot. You don't want to be in that spot because you might feel like your partner might reject you. Your partner might question, like, why? What's wrong with us now? Um,
So
with
let's say the person answers the questions, like,
Mhm.
so what should be the response? Oh, do you want to try that? Or is
Mhm.
that something that you're
Mhm.
interested in? Like,
Mhm.
what's a good response to that?
A good response is always like based on curiosity, empathy, and inviting more dialogue.
Hmm.
Like, you should not just answer yes, no, yes or no. Like,
Or no, I would never do that.
right. Yeah, exactly. It could be like, well, it's not my cup of tea, but like I would love to hear what you think about it.
Hmm.
Or maybe there's something similar that we can try that like that would be a turn on for me as well. So you want to make sure that, your responses are always based on curiosity and empathy, not immediate rejection, because that could hurt your partner. What if it's something they want to try? And
Yeah.
like, and you immediately say like, ew, that's gross.
Exactly. Or I would
Yeah.
never.
Then
Ew,
now
oh my
your
God, you're
partner
a deviant.
Yeah, then now your partner already feels emotionally unsafe around you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you just
Yeah.
never want to give any judgment.
So, what's one thing about sex or desire that you think that most people are not ready to hear?
Hmm. I would say one thing that people are not ready to hear is I would say like you don't know much about sex.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably true.
Every time I talk to people, they're like, "Whoa, but sex is natural. Sex is like animalistic. Like we all have the instinct." But I'm like, "Yeah, but then there's also people that can walk, and then there's also people that play in the NBA."
Yeah,
Like,
that's a great answer. I love that.
yeah, it's like just because you can walk doesn't mean you walk well. Like, you
Yeah.
know, and if you want to be great in bed and have a fulfilling sex life overall, like you have to learn. Like you have to learn more things. You have to learn about yourself, like sexual self-knowledge. Like,
Hmm.
what is your level of sexual self-esteem? People don't know what sexual self-esteem is, right? Like what is the difference between sexual self-esteem and sexual confidence?
Hmm.
What is your sexual profile? Like, have you ever taken a sex personality test? Um,
Yeah.
when was the last time you bring up a question of, hey babe, how do you feel about our sex life? Like, when was the
Hmm.
last time you brought up that question in your relationship? For some people, they've been together for 10 years, they've never asked that question once. So,
Yeah.
the hard truth is like, you don't know much about sex, but that's okay because you can start any day.
Well, you can get your book. How do you like
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it's like a sex Bible.
That's right. So, if you could put one line from your book on every nightstand in America, what would it be?
Sex is not about sex, sex is about everything else.
Mm, so good. So good.
Yeah. Because it's true. Like, if you think about it, sex is about so many things. It's about respect, about communication, effort, organization, adoration, emotional safety. There's like so many things have to go right in order for people to have a good sex life.
Mm.
That's why sex is such a good place to see if there is a symptom of a bad relationship.
Oh, so good. Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of that. So, what do you want to accomplish with this book? How do you hope it changes things?
I hope that everyone that has read the book feels significantly more sexually empowered to
Mm.
then learn more about their partner because they now have, after reading the book, they would already learn about themselves.
Yeah.
Learn more about their partner, start the conversation, take initiative, and like grab your sex life by the balls
In
because
your life, all of
you totally have the power to have a great sex life. And when I say great, I don't mean quantity, I mean quality.
it.
Sex is
Mhm.
always quality, never quantity. Like if
Right.
you can have sex every single day and it's bad quality, like that
No,
feels
no, thank you.
horrible.
Yeah.
You would feel used, you would feel dirty, you would not feel good. But high quality sex, even if you have it once a week, once a month, once every 2 months, it's fine because that high quality sex will then carry forward that connection between you and your partner. So it's
Hmm.
always quality over quantity when it comes to sex. But yeah, you can have a great sex life when you work on it.
And
It's just
yeah,
like
and
anything
it's
else.
really to everything in your life that you want. You can have all the things that you want.
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
have all the things that you want when you work on it.
Yeah.
And people tend to think sex is like the last thing they want to work on because they just think like, oh, it's not that important. But my argument is always, people I always say like orgasms give me the best ROI because when when you consistently have a healthy sex life, you consistently experience high serotonin, high oxytocin, and dopamine. You have this free feel good cocktail. You can have it every single day. And you don't even maybe have to rely on medication or like, but it's pleasure is medicine. And you can have this feel good cocktail every single day. And with those good feelings and good mood, then you're able to focus on your career, your business. It propels your energy, it propels your confidence. You are way more magnetic when you get what you want and when you feel sexually confident. You can also come off very magnetic and charismatic in other aspects of your life. When you negotiate, you can land a bigger deal because you feel more confident from your sexuality. Instead of it being a drain, it's being a fountain to you.
Yeah.
So in my life, ever since I have embarked on this journey of sexual empowerment, I have made significantly more money, have had so many more brand deals and opportunities, and have met so many cool people because I made that change. And I think it shows in my energy. So I always say orgasms give me the best ROI.
Yeah, I love it. Oh,
It's
that now
yeah.
that's like the little soundbite nugget for today. That's for
Yeah, and
sure.
it's free. Like
And it's
orgasms
free.
are free. You don't even have to buy them.
This is true. I mean, some people
But
do, but they don't have to.
if you wanna buy them, I highly recommend vibrators. I feel like everyone needs a clitoral vibrator in their life.
Oh, all right. Do
Yeah.
you have a brand that you like or
I like so many of them because here's what I recommend to women is you don't want to just have one because when you have one, your body gets used to that one sensation
oh, I
only,
see.
and it's attached to the brain neural pathway to
Hmm.
pleasure, which
Hmm.
means when you have sex with your partner or when you try other ways, you can't orgasm
Mm.
because your other neural pathways to pleasure aren't open. So
Mm.
you want to use different ones. There is it's a concept called idiosyncratic masturbation, meaning you only use one way, one sensation for a long period of time in your life, and therefore the pathway to pleasure in your brain is there's only one. And you don't want
Mm.
that. You want multiple to be open.
I
You want
see.
you want to have many access points. So that's why I have like multiple vibrators just to like make sure I can feel different sensations and still feel good. But
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, I love Crave. I think it's beautiful. It's like it's gold plated. I mean, you Rebecca, you seem fancy. I feel like you would love it.
Oh, you're so
It's
funny.
it's gold
You're
plated. It's
hilarious.
like really small and really powerful. I call it like a Dyson. Like
Ah, it's the
Dyson.
Dyson.
Yeah, it's the Dyson because
Oh
it's
my God,
quiet.
what a
Yeah,
great analogy.
it's like
That's
powerful,
hilarious.
quiet, and beautiful. I also love Lelo for people that like silicone toys. I love the pulsing technology by Lelo. I think it's called Sona. Because it's not vibration, so it doesn't have that impact on your clitoris. It
Hmm.
actually is pulsing on top of it, and through the pulsing technology, then you have a deeper orgasm with that toy. So there's many different toys out there with lots of technology. These two are like the two that are like my go-to.
Oh, all right, ladies. You heard it. You heard it from the expert right there. Um, okay. This has been amazing. Right, you guys? I mean, I told you it was going to be good.
Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah. So, where can listeners connect with you, listen to you, get your book, of course, and follow you and all that good stuff?
Yes, you can go to my website. That's lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co. My social media is on there. My book is on there. My podcast is also on there. Lovebites.co.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
One-stop shopping. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you, Dr. Tara. Oh my gosh, I feel like, we could do this all afternoon and
Yeah.
and talk, but a great way to start. The next step is to go follow her and get her book and check her out. So, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.